Aw man, we are getting some juicy new legendaries for Druids, and the Castle Nathria raid is looking fan-freaking-tastic so far. Could ranked Conduits be the new essence farm? And what about some more PvP talents, eh? Lots to get into for today, so buckle up for another episode of On Cooldown, your weekly WoW news show. Hello and welcome to Marcelian&Online. We do class guides and a WoW news show on a weekly basis, and if you're into that, hit that subscribe button and maybe throw a comment.
Because that will help us massively. And you know, it will keep you updated and we can engage in some conversation. And now, on with the show! So last night we got to test two bosses out of the first raid in Shadowlands on Mr. GM stream, and you know, things went smooth as butter right as the servers went up and we had no issues at all.
Bazinga.
Nah man, for the first boss, it was a complete mess. I mean, apart from folks randomly disconnecting, the lag during the fight with the Hungering Destroyer was unbearable. Felt we were playing some weird turn-based version of World of Warcraft where you'd press your abilities first, then things happen after a certain amount of time. But nevertheless, we did get to see a bit of the environment and mechanics, and so far so good. We only got it to 83% for our best pull as we were learning the mechanics and all, and it does seem that this fight particularly feels heavy on the heals because of the adds that spawn and cast this constant raid damage. Now, two of the adds can be interrupted, but there is a big one who casts the same stuff, but it cannot be CC'd or interrupted at all, and the damage is just insane. I mean, people would be going from full HP bars to 0 in a couple of seconds. That being said, the aesthetic of what we tested so far is what you would expect from a bloody vampire vampire team raid. Spooky, red, yet gorgeous, and to be fair, after doing so many Nyalotha runs, this actually felt like a breath of fresh air, as it should be. It's true that we didn't get to test a whole lot, especially with the Hungering Destroyer boss, because, you know, of the massive lag issues, but Lady Minerva Darkvein went pretty smooth, and it was actually pretty fun to figure out stuff in a raid with Mr. GM, Akalon, Miss Deline, and folks from Warcraft Radio. And as we went on in Heroic, our gear scaled up to 200 item level, and as a melee, specifically Red Paladin, for Lady Minerva, it felt pretty good. I mean, I had good uptime, was rocking the Necrolord Covenant with Fleshcraft and the Vanquishing Hammer, while also equipping the badge of the Mad Paragon Legendary, which buffs Hammer of Wrath with 20%, and it also increases the duration of wings by 2 seconds every time you hit Hammer of Wrath. So, needless to say, as the DPS horde that I am, there were pretty good moments seeing Red Paladin in the top 3 damage thingy. Anywho, there is more testing to be done today, and hopefully without all the goddamn issues from yesterday. So by the time this On Cooldown episode is out, the testing would already be finished. Did you watch any streams on the raid testing, or judging by what you saw here until now, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments.
One of the last classes to get legendaries has finally been called out to the stage. Druid has answered the call, and we don't have them all yet. Woo. Granted, Druid is the only class with 4 specs. Still. Some are supposed to be coming soon, some are reiterations of past legendaries and tier sets, and some actual Azurite traits? Who knew BFA gave us so many legendaries and we just didn't know about it? There are some cool additions though, like Druid Resto Runecarve 3. Clearly a placeholder name, but this was inspired by the Legion legendary Eldraith Bonds of Aglaya. Is that a JRPG name? What the fuck? Where Swiftman extends the duration of your HOTS on your target and doesn't consume any of them at all. I played with this in last night's raid testing, and it seems like a mega strong tank healing legendary, or spot healing, whatever you like. At least from its initial testing, this feels like a legendary effect. completely turning the mechanic of Swiftman on its head and giving it a new purpose and power. Other legendary effects like Legacy of the Sleeper for Guardian is almost the artifact ability from Legion, which personally gave bears so much flavor that I and probably a lot of other bears felt completely empty without it, since bear is already a fairly bare bones spec. Other legendary powers are a little less impactful. Apex Predator's Craving from Feral is the tier 21 4-piece bonus, so just one of the tier set effects that makes Rip have a 4% chance per tick, I would assume, to make the next ferocious bite free and deal max damage. This is a nice effect, but you know, feels like a tier bonus and not an actual legendary when you compare it with the other two and you know what other classes have gotten at least words. Shit. No, really, I get the appeal and the choice to make old tier sets all legendaries and Azurite traits into actual legendary powers. On one hand, we get to play with powers we might have liked in the past. On the other hand, most of these were never given the legendary status for them to feel legendary. At most, they were and currently feel like tier set bonuses or very extravagant trinkets. We want tier set bonuses on tier set pieces. We would definitely enjoy legendaries that feel legendary and not, oh, I used to play with this last year when I was level 120. This might seem a bit out of the blue, but with only the rogue being left out as of this recording, it's clear that most of the legendary powers, stuff like Primordial Arcanic Pulsar or Arcanic Pulsar for those of you acquainted with BFA, are either lazy designs or production cost reductions, and I know the devs already mentioned that they will be doing this. It's not about complaining for the sake of complaining, and hey, maybe we don't know the full extent of the legendary system. Maybe they are planning on adding more new powers later down the line, so it would kind of make sense that the first iterations are stuff and mechanics we already dealt with, had in the past, so that I can make it easier and quicker to design and balance. But after unpruning and now Legos, I have a sinking feeling that we keep getting stuff we had before, in the guise of, this is the new shit in Shadowlands. Thoughts? Comments?
And today's comment of the day comes from Castro HD, and he said,
Flame channeling his inner Orlando Bloom in this vid.
Flame, what do your nerd eyes see?
They're taking the Legos to Thorghast!
1, 2, 3, hit it!
They're taking the Legos to Thorghast!
Flame,
Taking the Legos to Thorghast! They're taking the Legos to Thorghast!
Flame.
Gas.
On some PvP news, did you know that in Shadowlands, you'll be getting back the CC break trinket? You know, the medallion? Like an actual trinket the way it used to be up until Legion, and the PvP role which had Relentless, Adaptation, and the CC break medallion, is getting cleared. So are we getting that so we can use even more of the PvP talents and maybe get new ones in the process too? No, you'll be using just 3 of them in Shadowlands moving forward. Listen, I know your first reaction to this would be of outrage because of the smaller amount of options, moving from 4 choices down to 3. But if you think about it, that row only provided you options in regards to crowd control and nothing that would add or change your playstyle. So if you get the CC break trinket in an actual trinket slot, in the long term, you'd actually see a bit of an improvement in toning down the 3-second burst playstyle that is currently happening on live with, you know, the bike trinket and the Drestagot trinket. On the other hand, you'd be right to think this would have been a great opportunity to provide PvPers a bit more customization to their talents and open up some new space for brand new PvP talents, so both arguments stand. Don't get me wrong, I would 100% be up for the former CC row to be open for the other PvP talents, but it feels they're more focused now on the whole Covenant and Conduits conundrum and the raid testing, so PvP will have to wait a while, although I still have hope for this, Holinka, if you're still in charge of the PvP team, that is. So, what would you prefer, having more options to choose from, or toning down the super burst playstyle?
Bye bye 8.3 grind. Hello grindless Shadowlands. Oh boy, there has been some peculiar and honestly worrisome data mining done a few days ago where some conduit information has been leaked out. If you don't know what these are, conduits are a spin between Azurite traits and gems, where you have these little gem-like powers that give you a pretty hefty bonus and you fit them in your Soulbind's talent tree. Mix and match based on what bonuses you want, can be offensive, defensive and utility and such, and there's pretty fair amount of customization. Their effect is represented by a bolded number that would suggest it would scale, and scale it will. Currently, the data mining shows these conduits to have a whopping 15 ranks. This can either be really cool or fuck this, no more alts once again. Ranks give a progression purpose to your character, and that's always great in an RPG. But if BFA taught us anything, is that the way they will implement the system is what really matters. It could be like the essences, where each rank requires arduous farming, supposedly for each spec and each character individually. This would be the worst case scenario, and frankly a little unlikely if the current dev's attitude is of any indication. But we've been led astray before. One of the more ideal implementations of this is for them to scale with your item level, or the item level in which brackets they will be found in. Dropped in. Huh? This built on what Blizz said, where they are looking at making these raid drops, dungeon drops, supposedly PvP raiding required drops. If the rank can scale with the difficulty of the content, then I am all for it. That way, effort and dedication is rewarded with more power, as an RPG should behave. This is just off the top of my head. I am sure there are better implementations, and I really hope these won't become what gates you from playing alts behind 10 ranks of everyone else.
Another week has passed, and man, did we have a lot of stuff to get into. It's the second week of the beta. A lot of stuff. The new build brought in all of the new legendaries, all of the tuning for existing legendaries.
Almost all the legendaries. Rogue still doesn't have shit.
Well, all of the legendaries presented, let's say, but you know, Druids got some. Also, we got the Castle Nathria raid testing that was yesterday and today as well. Got a little bit that on in the episode. What do you think so far? I mean, how do you think Shadowlands is shaping up to be after all of these two builds of the beta?
Well, the thing is, it's very promising. There's a lot of things going right for Shadowlands. The raid is always going to be like, what are we talking about here? I mean,
it's Blizzard. They do good raids.
When was the last time that the raids were like, ugh, I don't want to raid. No, it's fine. Yeah. The systems are, I can see why they wanted us to not judge Covenants before we saw the Conduits and the Soulbinds. I can see that.
Yeah.
Working on a future class video that you probably won't see yet kind of led me to believe that, okay, some of the class on pruning and nerfing that they did was so that it makes sense for Conduits. So I'm a little bit on the fence there. It seems like they're trying really hard to make their systems work, and to do that, they're not designing and balancing the classes as you kind of would want to. So
yeah, I say we hold our breath until the whole Covenants and Soulbinds and Conduits issue gets a proper solving from them. I think we still have a lot of information to uncover for the future, and I'm pretty sure Ian got the memo. It's a really heated debate, but at the end of the day, so far it's looking good.
There's always going to be like issues. I had it, man. I grabbed onto it. I was feeling it. There will always be issues, alright? So nothing's gonna be perfect, and that's fine. That's how we learn. And most likely 9.0 will not be as good as 9.1. Hopefully. So, you know, all of these will be built upon and for the future patches, so that's pretty great. So a lot of hope going for it. It's looking pretty good. We just hope that they don't keep to their stubborn size and sides, so that we can, you know, have a great game for everybody. That's kind of it.
Yeah, great win for everybody, and also great win for the Patreons. All right, thank you so much, guys, for being there every month, supporting the content that we do. I think it's pretty safe to say that by now, on next Monday, we're gonna have the super secret project revealed. So we have been working pretty hard on that. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy it. Once again, if you decide to become a Patreon, you'll be supporting, obviously, on cooldown, the weekly WoW News show, doing all of the Shadowlands class previews as well, on top of the new thing that will be on Monday. We cannot spoil it just yet, but it's gonna be pretty effing good.
It's pretty good. And not only that, I mean, we also stream 5 days a week, and everything goes into that as well. And for everybody that's subscribed and is following our stream, thank you very much. And you can also check it as well, because we do play all of the classes. We do dabble into BFA and Shadowlands as well, and things that cannot make it into videos are most likely there, and we can always have a chat. You can ask some questions and
debate. But with that being said, we wish you a great weekend ahead. Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Stay safe, stay healthy, all that.
Happy holidays.
What?
You are, you are, you are.